So you said after you graduated, you kind of realized like you were able to reflect on your experience a little bit more,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. So when I was in grad school, um, in BC, I had two professors that were really awesome and great. In fact, one of them, I took a course, it was an elective, and he just noticed that in class I was always very quiet, right? And I think, I don't know if Carlton, if they do this, but like in SFU, the PhD students would be in the same class with master students. So they'll be taking classes with master students. Yeah. So sometimes like the classroom, like the conversations would be like very, very intense. Not that anyone's arguing, but like everyone's like just talking about the readings and being very critical about the readings. And you know how sometimes like PhD students will be, right? And then they start quoting all these authors, and then you feel like, oh wow, like I know nothing, right? So the classes are always like that, especially this class that I was in. I think they were just very, maybe three or four of us that were master students, the rest were PhD students. So like every time in class, they're just like going back and forth with each other. And I'm like, wow. And I'll always be very quiet. And this professor noticed I was always very quiet. And then after class one time, like he asked me to stay back. And then he was like, is there any, like, are you okay? Like he just wanted to probably just hear my voice, be sure that I have a voice and I can talk. I'm just, but like he asked me and I was like, well, where I come from, we don't, like in class, like put up your hand if you have something to say. We don't have, and sometimes I feel like if I want to engage in this conversation, I feel like I'm interrupting and I don't know when to, speak because everyone is talking, right? And so he was like, okay. And then he tried to explain to me like it's not like it's okay, like you can speak, don't feel like you're offending anyone, it's fine. And so what he would do during classes would be when they're all talking, sometimes you'd be like, oh, I mean, what do you think about, this topic?
Oh,
Like,
that's
yeah,
great.
and then I would say something. So that's how I was able to kind of find my voice in that class. And that also helped in like other classes too, right? So
Like
that
other
way,
people did that as well?
no, like because I was able to find my voice in that class, because I was able to find a way to participate in that class, like engage without feeling like I'm interrupting anyone or being rude, I was able to incorporate that in other classes too, right? So even if professors in other classes don't ask me to speak, somehow I kind of learned how to, you know, take up space on my own, right? Does that make
Yeah, I think
sense?
actually that happened to me a little bit too, where I had
Yeah.
some classes where there was like one or two people kind of looking out for me, which is really nice.
Yeah.
And then I was able in other classes then to talk. It's just like just gives you a little bit of that boost and then you can take it from
Yes.
there, right?
Yes.